Mr. President, I saw something last week that I didn't believe. I read the article and then I searched the internet for other articles saying the same thing to confirm that it was true. And it was true. I'm still in disbelief. The largest public school system in America is in New York City. I love New York City. I think it's the greatest city in the world. And the New York Public Schools publish a monthly newsletter. It's called, Office of Student Pathways Newsletter. Every month, the public in New York City sends this newsletter. They blast it out to teachers. They blast it out to parents, not just in New York City, all across the country. And in the latest newsletter that they blasted out, they had bullet points that they made in the newsletter that's kind of, when you look at it on the internet, it's kind of pale blue. You can click on it and it sends you to another site. The bullet point on the newsletter that the public schools sent out was called, quote, Guidelines for Teaching About Genocide. Guidelines for Teaching About Genocide. And if you clicked on this phrase in the newsletter, it sent you to another site. And you know what the site was? Stop Gaza Genocide Toolkit. Stop Gaza Genocide Toolkit. The administration of the New York Public Schools, largest in the country, to its teachers and its students and to the world. If you take a look and you say, what's in this toolkit? Stop Gaza Genocide Toolkit. It contains the biggest bunch of anti-Semitic rot you can imagine. The toolkit, among other things, it breaks down how to mobilize pro-Palestinian campaigns on social media. It tells our teachers how to boycott and encourage divestment from pro-Israel organizations. It encourages readers to print out Palestine yard signs and calls our kids and our parents to action. Now, the head of the public schools in New York was embarrassed. Once people started going, what's going on? Why are you publishing this anti-systemic rot of genocide? After it was Israel that was attacked, after it was Hamas that started the war. And the chancellor, Ms. Melissa Aviles Ramos, said it was just a troubling oversight. That's what she said, troubling oversight. But then the article goes on to say that it's been discovered that a similar version of the toolkit, this oversight, was published in the newsletter in the prior month. It was in the November 2024 newsletter. And that document called on all the teachers and all the students in the New York public schools and everybody else reading the newsletter, called on them to participate in, quote, Rage Week and, quote, resist genocide by mobilizing on Saturday, October 5th for a day of action ahead of the anniversary of Hamas on October 7th, 2023. That was the date of the terrorist attack on Israel, which apparently the administration of the public schools wants to celebrate. Here's what one of the teachers in the public school system, she discovered this. It is systemic rot. It's systemic rot, said Karen Felman, and she resigned. And it should not go unnoticed that in addition to this oversight, we know it wasn't an oversight. I mean, pigs may fly someday, but I doubt it. This wasn't an oversight. Now we find out recently that New York State education officials have rejected President Trump's administration's demand to do away with certain diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts that call for quotas, racial quotas, which are illegal in the United States of America under recent Supreme Court precedent. These state officials wrote President Trump, and this is what they said: there are no state or federal laws prohibiting the principles of DEI. I don't understand that. Racial quotas are illegal. You can't use race in America, according to well-settled law, to hurt a person or to help a person. But these officials at the state level, not the local level, they said no state or federal laws prohibit the principles of DEI. And they said that they are aware of no jurisdiction that the federal to withdraw funding. What? I hope we find out. This kind of stuff makes me jump out of a moving car. And this is the kind of, in the words of the teacher who resigned, systemic rot, rank anti-Semitism that in New York they're sending to our teachers and our kids and to the world.
Senator John Kennedy never holds back, and this time he's sounding the alarm on what he calls systemic rot in New York's public school system. At the center of his fiery speech is a document titled Toolkit to Stop Gaza Genocide. Now, to many, that might sound like a call for humanitarian awareness, but Kennedy says this so-called toolkit crosses the line into dangerous territory. So what's in the document? According to Kennedy, it includes strategies to mobilize pro-Palestinian campaigns, tell students and teachers how to boycott pro-Israel groups, and even encourages them to print yard signs and push for divestment from Israel-linked organizations. But here's where it really hits a nerve. Kennedy claims the toolkit paints Israel as the aggressor, accusing it of genocide just weeks after Hamas launched the brutal October 7, 2023 attacks. That terrorist attack left more than 1,000 Israelis dead and marked one of the bloodiest days in the region in recent history. Kennedy isn't just criticizing the content, he's questioning the intent. He slams the New York public school leadership for publishing the toolkit and brushes off their defense that it was a troubling oversight. His response? Pigs may fly someday, but I doubt it. That's Kennedy's way of saying nobody's buying that excuse. The controversy goes even deeper. A similar version of the toolkit appeared in a prior school newsletter and, disturbingly, called on students and teachers to participate in something labeled Rage Week. That event encouraged resisting genocide through protests conveniently timed just before the anniversary of the Hamas attack. To Kennedy, that's not just poor judgment, it's a deliberate narrative flip, treating the attackers like victims and the victims like villains. One veteran teacher, Karen Felman, had enough. She resigned after 26 years, calling the entire situation systemic rot. Her voice adds emotional weight to Kennedy's words. This isn't just politics, it's personal. But Kennedy doesn't stop there. He connects the dots to a broader culture war in education, calling out New York State officials for rejecting the Trump administration's push to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion policies that enforce racial quotas, something the Supreme Court has recently ruled illegal. According to Kennedy, these DEI policies not only divide Americans, they also trample on constitutional protections. Yet, state officials insist there's no law banning DEI principles, and they even challenge the federal government's ability to pull funding. Kennedy's reaction? I hope we find out. That's his way of saying consequences need to be explored. Let's be clear, Kennedy's message isn't just about one toolkit or one school district. He's using this moment to expose what he sees as a growing ideology in America's education system, one that fosters division, demonizes allies, and normalizes anti-Semitism under the cover of activism. What do you think? Is this about free speech and human rights, or has the line into hate and indoctrination already been crossed? If you found this video eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe for more straight-shooting political insights, and drop a comment below. Do you agree with Senator Kennedy, or do you see it differently? Let's have the conversation, respectfully and openly. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop asking the tough questions.